Recording. And I'm Nathan. This was one of those background things that was on HBO a lot when I was a kid. This played a lot because I believe this was a very R-rated movie because there's constant nudity in it. So I know that, but what really wasn't that interesting as nudity. It was just there. But yeah, it was. I remember this was constantly a background. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yeah. So that was. I remember this was a background movie that was playing a lot, and I saw it many times in many different sections. Oh yeah, it's not like Excalibur where we're good. It's actually it's not horrible, but yeah, oh yeah, it was yeah, it's very interesting. Harlan Ellison was he used to he published some books about long basically they were movie critiques of movies from the 70s and 80s and 90s. It's called Harlan Ellison was watching one and two, and he was always trying to find the origin of this story. When it says based on a true story, you know, he kind of had his thing, like he was sort of vibing like that makes me angry because it's like I immediately think bullshit. And but he liked this guy's other movies, so he's like, yeah, I want to know what this was based on, and he could never. The only thing they found was like a Peruvian logger like lost his son. That it wasn't an American dam engineer, and it wasn't near, you know, of course all this other stuff didn't happen around it either. It's like, yeah, based on the fact that, yeah, maybe this happened at some point in human existence. Yeah. Yeah, sometime between year 0 and 1985, something like this might have happened. This happened with wolves also, but it was a whole different character arc, but yeah, it's yes. In the sum total of all human history, giving all possibilities in this universe and many others, this might have happened at one time. Well, not exactly like this, you know, it's always that used to be a pre-internet thing you could slap on something to give it like to really draw people in. They still do it nowadays, but almost nowadays it's almost tongue in cheek. Because I'm trying to think of the last people that did that where they the first Blair Witch Project when they and that was like the early days of the internet when they made like fake websites that said, yeah, all these people are really missing. We're looking for our documentary. through and like, "What? It's on the internet." Really missing, like, and then they later said, "No, they're just actors, they're fine." It's so yeah. Yes, and also this tried to cash in on the sexiness too, the very much the look of Blue Lagoon came out around this time, and if you pay attention, there's a lot of it's like some similarities in that too. Yes. Yes. Oh, I remember, yeah, the destroying the rainforest was a big thing then and now. We're still doing it, still going on, but it hasn't stopped. Yeah. And we have more trees than the continent of Africa and America. It's crazy. Yes. Well, the thing about especially because where this happens mostly with where we hear about it is in Southern California, which is in the environs of Los Angeles, which is a massive city with a massive suburbs all around it. It's the last American settlement, and so it's yeah, it's mostly suburbs. That's when it boomed. Well, everyone looks at it and they're like, "Yeah, let's plant a tree." It's like, "No, it's just a desert." It's the only thing that makes that look like that is the Colorado River, which the people in Colorado now want. So planting a bunch of trees there is like, "Let's build a house out of matches." See what happens. It's that's why, and also it is such a dense packed population. Like there's not enough green spaces left there. It's just houses on top of houses on top of houses. And then when the forest catches on fire, well, all the houses, there's about an arm length between some of them now. And yeah, they're all burning down in series. So, and they also, for some reason, have cisterns to fight fires, but they're never full of water. And everyone's like, "No, they're full," and it's like, "You no, according to this, like, drone just flew over, it's empty." Like, "What?" It's like, "You didn't know this?" Okay. But, yeah, so that's a lot of the stuff that goes on there too. Yes, that was. They find the cure for cancer in the rainforest. Sean Connery. We're losing the cure for cancer. It's like, "Yes, but if we cure cancer, then we'll have more people and we'll need to cut down more trees." It's like a snake eating its own tail. Yes. Yes, this is probably the darkest of any of those movies. Yeah. No, I yeah, I mean, I don't yeah, the thing with that with the number one, Powers Booth is, like, the coolest actor from the '70s and '80s with the coolest name too. It's like, I don't know if that's his I think that's his actual name. He's a Texas guy. He's a guy from Texas. I think he's 8 feet tall. I mean, he's a big guy, he's not that tall, but and he has a cool voice and he looks cool. And, yeah, he is yeah. So he's not gonna do like he's not like the emotions guy. So, but actually, I don't know. I think almost his reaction was they really there was a lot between him and his son, almost nothing between him and the rest of his family. It's like, Dad, you found him. Like, we don't really get that follow up. I think his reaction almost makes sense in the very end considering what all they've been through. It's like, we just killed 20 people. No, no. And that's kind of the sadness of it, and the narrative of it is like, oh yeah, that is it does kind of fit together, but it's not a movie you're gonna watch and I'm like, I want to watch that 20 times. It's like, yeah, I've done this. This is fine, but it's like I'm sort of depressed now. Oh. Yes. We're doing the John Borman highlights, not all his movies, just the highlights, or at least movies I remember. And yeah, yeah, 90 some years old. I mean, the son in this movie is like he's 6 years older than me, like, now. He's 92. John Borman's 92. Felice Rousselet. Oh, yeah, you it's hard to name what he hasn't done. It'd be easier just to name him, like, "Yeah, he didn't do it." Let's see the big directors he's worked with: Robert Redford, Neil Jordan, Stephen Frears, Tim Burton, Guy Ritchie. So, yeah, he's done, like, tons of stuff. Yep. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, the Fantastic Beasts. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the one with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. It's, like, in the '70s. Okay. I think I have. Okay, yeah. Alright. He did the Sherlock Holmes movies too. But yeah, and the only reason I mention those is those are great looking movies. That didn't put me to sleep? I the last thing I saw was speaking of which, we just did Excalibur, I watched the King Arthur movie, which yeah, yeah, where it's yeah, it's called Legend of the Sword. It tacks more towards the Roman post-Roman era, but it's also like 'cause, who's the bad guy in that? Jude Law is like Mordred, but he's like a wizard, but like an evil wizard, and, yeah, because it's not called London, it's called Londinium, and which was I guess, was the original name of it, back when the Romans just lost control of it. It's not great. It's kind of, again, it's a great looking movie. Everyone in it looks beautiful, and they're doing cool stuff, and because they learn how to fight, because they're basically like street criminals that learn how to fight like that from a Moor. Um, and it's like a magic sword, but it's, again, you kind of fade in and out with like, huh, what's going on? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always, every time I hear one's coming out, it's like, oh, I expect it's going to be like that. And it's not. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's got Ray Liotta in it too. So it's got to be good. And then there was that Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Like that was, well, haven't heard anything about it. I did watch The Covenant. That was the one where he goes back to save the guy. I think it's in Afghanistan. It was his like interpreter. It was pretty good. It got a little long, but yeah, he's like his in-house script guy, it seems. No, Yara Vanu is plays the his young sister in the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it's doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Actual characters that were created by a writer. Oh, the weird compositing of the bird, the eagle. Oh, yeah, yeah, because it looks like some dam I made in my basement and just, like, moved the camera up on and slowed it down, yeah. Yeah, yeah, she has been in a lot of things. She was they call what did they call her? The Eyes of 1979 or something. She had a very uh she had a very striking look to her. And so I know she was in the Masters of the Universe with the one with Dolph Lundgren. Like she played the what's his name sidekick, Skeletor's sky sidekick or whatever. But yeah, she was kind of like a she was always like a supporting role person. He's just like a young he's like a 10-year-old boy who's interested in like what are these people doing? Doesn't realize the danger. Building a hydroelectric dam essentially. Yes. Yeah. And it's based on a real some of the pictures of it, it's from a real dam down there. Yeah. Yeah. It does. Yeah, it's like what well, it's like the Bill Markham explains to his son. It's like, yeah, these are rainforest trees, so the roots are real shallow, so you can just push them over and rip them out of the ground. They're not like trees like in North America where the roots are twice the size of the tree. Uh, so yeah, that's so, yeah, yeah. That chain's coming to decapitate you. That's what tannerite was originally invented for too. Well, yeah, when farmers were clearing fields, and there was just giant tree stumps there. It's because in the olden days, you just went to the convenient. If you had a, what you had to have like a, some kind of agriculture permit. Like you could just buy dynamite right out of the True Value hardware or whatever. But yeah, that's yes. But then they came, it's like, well, that's a little on the nose and dangerous. Then they came up with tannerite because it's like, yeah, it's just as powerful, but it has this unique detonation system that like every farmer has like a 30-30 rifle. So yeah, as long as you tell them, hey, stand more than 10 feet away and you can blast these roots out of the ground, just jerk what's left out with, tractors. It's like, that's what that was invented for. Um, and it was also just fun as hell to do that. We're gonna blow stuff up today, kids. Because I had to cut a tree down in my front yard because the roots were attacking my like sewage pipes and stuff. And so, yeah, I cut the tree down with like a chainsaw, and we're talking a tree that was maybe like this big. But of course, it had this massive root system, which was the problem. And I did the technique where you got a like a metal basin that's about like I don't know, like that big around. You flip it upside down, pour charcoal in it, flip it upside down. You cut a hole in the top, and in the top of that, you put a leaf blower, and then you start the coal on fire, and you turn that leaf blower on, and it's called a vortex furnace, is what you're making, and it'll start to after you got to drill, you got to let the stump sit there for like a year and drill into it and just really dry it out. And then after a year, you do that with a leaf blower. My neighbors thought I was insane because it creates this column of fire, super oxygenating basically a coal fire. But then it burns only the roots because dirt doesn't burn, but the dried up roots will burn, so it burns down into the ground. And then I had my whole front yard like sink in after a month, and I had to bring a bunch of soil in and fix it. Now you can't even tell there was one there. But yeah, that's and that was like I said, we're talking about a tree that big in the suburbs. So I can't imagine what those giant ones are like to get rid of. But that's why you need like tannerite. I couldn't do the tannerite thing around here. People would be mad. To get up on your roof and shoot that with a rifle. Is that okay? And it's gonna blow all your windows out. We're gonna have fun. Yeah, yeah. Hey, I told you, damn it. Told you that was gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know, but ants play a big part in this because they don't they call people like humans from the city like ant or termite people. Yeah, they're like, so that's what those people are like. They're like the ants that strip all the leaves out of the forest, because that goes on down there too. The what they call those army ants, where there's just giant swarms of ants. That didn't they make there was a movie about that where a guy's trying to start a plantation down there, and he has to surround his house with a mote of flame because the army ants. What's that called? Naked Jungle. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like a '50s movie, I think. Yeah, it's the one with the Hitchcock movie. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah, the Birds does people trapped in a house horror very good. Almost as good as like Signs. Because people forget like the best parts of Signs, like almost 70% of it is just a bunch of guys in a house getting freaked out by noises. It's really good movie. It's my favorite of his movies. But yeah, well, Lady in the Water is pretty cool too, but that's just because I like that kind of weird storytelling. But it's like it's just like they're so still. It's like, no, you would look at like, hey man, what's going on? Yeah. But yeah, it's no, there is some element. There's a lot of magical realism that creeps into this movie as it goes on. It's like, yeah, you don't know. It's like maybe they are the invisible people. Like it's clearly see them, but it's like to look for them. He's he chooses not to believe his son, so therefore he doesn't see them. It's like, oh, it's Schrodinger's tribe. They're both there and not there. Yeah. Yes. No, that was a very 80s thing that I never got into that. Yeah, I mean, that was a style of, like, those bifold doors. Like, this closet behind me has bifold doors, but it's just disguised to look like a four-panel door. It doesn't have the Michael Myers is coming to get me in the closet blinds that yeah. Yeah, it was either Hitchcock or I think that is, like, one of the most iconic scenes in Halloween, so that could be yeah, it could be yeah, because he was really good at, like, "We're gonna do something simple." It's like, how can she see him and he maybe can see her, you don't know, it's like, well, we put blinds on, we do the closet blinds that were just a style back then. Well, it's Brazil, so it's not sexy Brazil, it's kinda scary Brazil. Of course, Brazil is still pretty scary, but yeah, I don't know firsthand, but I've heard that, like, yeah, it's pretty wild in Brazil. They it's the hottest people doing the most unlikely stuff. It's like, "Oh, cool." It's the hottest people in the world. It's like a country full of hot people killing each other, and they're the best, like, martial artists in the world now. It's like, "Oh, okay, these people are totally badass," but it's like they're also strangely violent and fun at the same like, I don't know about this. They might take the place of America. Well, the interesting thing about all those countries is, like, ostensibly settled the same time as, like, America. Like, these are all just colonies of Europe, and boy, they just went in wildly different directions. It's like we actually have more in common with those people, like, just by location than anywhere else in the world, but it's like, "Oh, wow, yeah." You get the further south you get, the funner it gets. It's like great food, hot people, maybe you get killed, who knows? Crazy governments that may or may not last more than a week. Ugh. Well, those were the tourists that were doing that, and they don't speak Spanish, like, "What?" "No, what's Portuguese? Is that like Spanish?" It's like, "Yeah, about as similar to Spanish as, like, English and Dutch." It's like, "Well, how did that happen?" You mean in all the Americas, Spanish isn't the dominant language? Well, most Americans would think, "Doesn't everyone speak English?" It's like, "Yeah." Well, to you, yes. Ugh. Oh, she's like in an orphanage giving out vaccines or something, which back then would be seen as a beautiful act of charity. Now that is viewed with suspicion because we have to live in that dark world, or you're gonna have sex with them, or oh, he's a really awful character. As soon as this guy talks, you're like, "Is he gonna die soon?" It's like they're setting it up for his horrible demise where everyone's gonna be like, okay." So what kinda psycho are you exactly says that out loud? Like, that's your thought process? Would it be better if your child was dead? It's like, no, those words never should be put together. Yes, very strange looking man. Yeah. Ah, he's one of the boys from Brazil from the novel, yeah. Ever seen the gradations of Brazilians, though? You can meet people from Brazil as white as you and me. Then they have, like, people that look like they came straight out of Africa, all Brazilians. Yeah, it's like, that's how you know. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying earlier, it's like, we actually have more in common with them than, like, Europe, where they're just a bunch of monocultures. It's like 'cause in America, you have that gradation too, but the difference is in Brazil, they're all hot. That's what's weird. You have both hot white and black people and everyone in the middle, and everyone's, like and having a huge party and speaking Portuguese and absolutely believes that UFOs are real. It's like, "Huh, this is an interesting place." Yeah. No, they're not, well, everyone got too fat here. Can you imagine me in a hammock? You'd have to, like, structurally engineer that, like, be like that material where the parachutes that came out of the space shuttle, like yeah, everyone's too fat for hammocks in America. Also, in those countries, you don't wanna be on the ground or connected to the ground because like, bugs can get you. I mean, I'm talking about in the woods, not the cities, but the woods. We have ground bugs here too, but they don't, like, hurt you like the what are the ants called that they say it's like a gun they call them bullet ants. Yeah, we don't have bullet ants here, they do there. So, you wanna be off the ground. Bill's story was a followed with 10 years ago with great interest. And UA says, like, oh, my editor is a real humanist. He always liked this story. So I'm coming along with you. I'm assuming there's a financial incentive and a publicity incentive bring this reporter along because clearly, like Powers Booth, as we find out in a little bit, does not like this guy at all. It's like, yeah, this guy sucks. Yeah. He's a reporter and he relates to people, but I'm thinking he's more of a photojournalist, it seems like, than like 'cause I don't see this guy he doesn't seem to have the gift of gab or the touch of words because he's everything he says is, like, borderline sociopath, sexy, like, crazy shit, so like a Life magazine or something. Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's some kind yeah, it's some kind of native language. Yeah. It has gotten to the point in my life I've been exposed to enough movies and enough different people that I know when people are speaking Spanish and Portuguese, I know the difference. Like, I don't know the words, but it's like that's Portuguese versus that's Spanish. But yeah, I have no idea what language they're speaking. It just shows that Bill's a really smart guy. He's picked up these obscure tribal dialects in the hunt for his son. So, but yeah, I have no idea what language they're speaking. Did you get a text? It just shows that. What did we drop from somewhere? Okay. Yeah. Hopefully that's a quality recording since I changed the chip.
Hello, hello. All right, I should be on there now. Now let me check the audio. Hello, hello. All right, I should be on there now. All right, I should be. All right, now my audio's on the YouTube show. So,
Okay.
um, but yeah, he talks with some of the natives. They speak of the invisible people. This interests Bill because he's like, that makes sense, being that my son disappeared. Then we cut to we see a grown-up Tommy in the woods with the invisible people. He's part of the invisible people. They're hunting monkeys with a blow dart, but we never see him pick up the monkeys. I'm not sure if that was like just for fun or if they killed the monkey or what's going on here. So, um, but yeah, this is it's Tommy here. This is an older Tommy, and this is played by John Borman's son, Charlie Borman, who is also Mordred or one of the Mordreds in
Young
Excalibur.
Mordred.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is like this. This is pretty substantial. Just full nepotism. This is a pretty substantial role, and probably a complicated one too to give your son. But I don't know. Yeah, I
He
mean,
he broke his toes 3 times during filming.
okay, all right. Um, they gets a boner out. He like doesn't fire at a deer because it runs off, and then he's like about to fire at, like some sort of like tree hedgehog thing, but doesn't. So they're just showing that they're just like collecting all the meat they can, but then because like at the end he has like a bird and like a bunch of fish. Like we never see him hunt a bird, but at least I don't think I might have missed that. But they head out on the river where like a leopard is hunting, but they never are like in the same scene together. But that just lets you know like there's also constant mention of leopards. Like people compare themselves to leopards, and then there's another leopard scene where a leopard like attacks a bulldozer, but that's later on. So, and I don't even know if it actually happens. I think it was just like a
No, it's a
dream.
sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a jaguar, his jaguar.
um. They go down the river on the boat and like hunt for fish, like with bows and arrows. Which I think we are talking about. There was there was something else recently where we did like bow fishing was like in one of these movies. I can't even remember. Like
Yeah, that was
oh
Deliverance they were
Deliverance,
doing.
yeah, Deliverance, yeah, okay, yeah, just come back to Deliverance. Um, they get in concealment as like another tribe marches through, which I picked this up on the Wikipedia article. They call this like the oh the fierce tribe, which these are the guys that seem more black looking rather than what their tribe looks like. So, um, They go back.
Those are more like the colors of like the empire, like a lot of black and red.
Yeah, yeah,
They do that to
yeah. Like there's a lot of white and green for the invisible people tribe. So, which the white doesn't make sense. The green does if you're going to blend in with your environment. um, they get back to the village and there's like a gathering. They dropped off food and they catch up with people. So like basically from here on out, there's like no subtitles. So it's completely on you about what the hell is happening. So I mean, a lot of it's pretty like on the nose, like oh this is happening, this is happening, but you're still like no specifics. So you can see like somebody's having like a dour conversation or a happy conversation. It's like, but to what end? Like what end? So this movie's full Verhoeven Effect. You gotta bring everything. So then we cut to like Tommy takes a shower in the falls with his friends, and then they stand by and watch some ladies bow hunting fish. Like, like they're just like in the stream, which then Tommy like flirts with a lady, but as he pops up out of the water, there's another just ceremony and waiting, where like the tribe leader is like in like some sort of full gown thing and painted up all the way. It's like, when did that happen? That's just how this works. Again, none of this dialogue is translated, so it's up to you. We cut to it's night, and there's time passes very weird in this movie. It's like they just constantly cut the night and day all the time.
this is a John Borman thing because we noticed this in Excalibur too.
Yeah.
It's like that's like a 35-year arc. Made clear that it is.
Yeah. It's night. Tommy is subjected to a ceremony where his body is covered in ants and they presumably bite him or something. So is this supposed to be the bullet ant stuff here?
It's not specifically mentioned, but I'm assuming it's something painful
Okay.
like that. It's designed to.
Which I've seen a guy.
Manhood.
There's some guy who like he goes around and like experiences like tribal culture and stuff like that, and he stuck his hand in one of these things and got bit by a bullet ant, and that dude went down with like one bite for like a whole week. So
Yeah, I know. They thought he was gonna die. I remember that because they were like, "We got to get a helicopter out here." It's like, yeah, don't mess around with stuff like that. What are you doing?
like
No, it's like platypus is the most painful venom in the world, right?
oh, okay.
Like duckbill platypus venom is, it's like they say it's like being lit on fire and then thrown into the snow over and over again. And they say that, and people are like, I don't know. I want to. It's like, I'm going to believe them, and I'm going to leave platypus alone because they only exist in America. Like
okay, yeah.
It's like, so if they say that, it's like, cool, I'll take that. Just, it's like, yeah, that's dangerous. I'm never going to encounter one.
Let's make a ghost pepper out of it.
Yeah. I bet you I can drink that shit. It's like, all right, I'll watch on YouTube with great amusement. But yeah, I don't understand people. It's like people say that, and it's like, I believe you.
But yeah, Tommy kind of falls over as he's like giving into the pain, but he holds himself up against the rock. So usually that's like that's kind of him continuing on. So he didn't, I don't know if there's a failure state to this ceremony or not. But then we cut to next day. Tommy's brought out of the river. It's almost like a baptism, and you see all the ant bites, and it's just like all over his body. So it's like, yeah, that must hurt. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do like the preamble to this though, when the chief shows up and it's like, the boy before me is dead, and it's like, uh-oh. Well, yeah, because you don't know what these people are like.
Yeah.
It's like what you've seen is like from just the jungle people writ large is like, yeah, this is a scary crew, and this guy's showing up with spears and all his warriors, and like, the boy before me is dead. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, he loves this guy. This isn't gonna be, they were just being cool with each other because he came back from hunting.
Yeah.
So it's like, I sort of like that, because everything after this point is like, it's all a ritual that they build on, which is like kind of their, it sort of explains their culture in a way where how can we fit this into like a little bit under a 2-hour movie?
Yeah.
And it's okay. I like this.
But also, you have to remember the whole time, like, he was basically abducted as a child, so this is all kind of weird. So.
Yeah, but then when you find out why, it's like, All
Oh,
right.
do they have an explanation? Like, I don't think I ever really picked up on
Oh
one.
yeah, because he asked the chief at one point.
Well, I know,
Paul.
like, I know, like, Bill and the chief are talking, but there's no subtitles, so I don't know what they're actually
Oh,
saying.
you didn't? Yeah, there was some subtitles in the one I watched.
Oh,
'Cause I turned.
there's no subtitles in the one I watched.
Oh, okay. Wow, yeah, this makes a little different movie experience, and I thought there was some
Oh, maybe I
because
had
that
to turn them on or something. No, there's absolutely no subtitles of this movie.
I always have subtitles on because I'm deaf as a post now, so I have to have subtitles. But um, no, it's and not everything is subtitled. But yeah, Bill and the chief are talking, and he's like, why did you take my son from me? It's kind of like that, but he's saying it in their tribal language. And his dad was like, he was the only white man I saw that smiled. He I knew it's like how he must not be as sad as you are because all you are is angry all the time. So that's why I took him, because it's like no people that behave like you could be happy. Like the termites are not happy.
Okay.
They're and so that's like the chief thought he was in from his worldview was like, I'm going to show this outsider a kindness. He's like he's a small boy. He's happy. This is not a happy world. These aren't happy men. They're
Yeah.
just everyone's grim and they're driving equipment around and yelling and shooting. And
Destroying nature and everything.
yeah, they're just like these people clearly aren't happy. And view it like yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so yeah, you got context for your movie you watched.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Always check those subtitles because
I don't know. That's maybe if I didn't check them, then that means that's how the movie was intended to be watched, wasn't it?
I mean I watched it on Amazon,
Yeah,
so
I did too. But so I guess yeah. I don't know.
I got full subtitles. I guess you didn't. But not
No.
every conversation was subtitled, though. I will say
Okay.
that. You didn't sound like you got any.
No,
So.
I got no. There was no subtitles at all.
Oh, this must have been a really challenging watch.
Oh
To like,
yeah,
what is
that's why.
going on?
Yeah, that's why I was told. I was telling Nathan, it's like this might be the shortest episode we do because I don't know. It's all interpretive.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of it that is. It's not 100% subtitle, but yeah, getting none with this movie. Wow. Okay, I didn't catch that from you earlier. That must have quite an experience here.
um. Let me cut to Bill finds a fish trap and he decides to camp next to the river because he's like, oh, we might be close to this tribe or whatever. We cut to more Tommy ceremony stuff. He gets some green powder blown in his nose and he starts dancing. So this is some sort of drug, probably derived by the frogs or something like that.
Yeah, there's something that all the weird podcasts I listen to where the guys get into psychedelic land where they go down to South America and have a shaman guide them on some kind of thing, and there's a drug they take, and it's got a name, and I can't remember it. I mean, to me, it sounds singularly awful, but I've never been into psychedelics, so
Okay.
the closest I've come is very powerful marijuana, and I did not like the way I felt, and I was like, this isn't fun. I'm not doing this again. I'm a booze guy. That's my vision quest is I found my spirit animal and its name is Johnny Walker. So that's yeah, but this is something like that.
Um.
Which assuming is a near death experience and you just find something, I don't know. It's like the bullet ant thing. It's like, I'll take your word for it. Nothing to prove.
A hawk flies overhead and they intercut it with Tommy, so it's kind of projecting here that like he's having a vision of being a hawk or something, or he can now see through the hawk's eyes or whatever. So,
Yeah.
sometime later, Tommy is shown like some teeth or bones or something,
Yes.
and then Tommy goes out hunting with. I thought he was a spear here, but it's just like a really long bow, where they have like the extra big arrows that basically look like spears. So, like,
Yes.
it's some weapon from like a Elden Ring or Dark Souls game.
Yeah, I tried to look up like what kind of arrows those were and why they would use those. Those arrows fired in the jungles and because there's been like there's a lot of things about like the native peoples of the Amazon rainforest because we always hear about the uncontacted tribes and all that stuff, and if you read like the lost city of Z, and and everyone's always looking for what's the other thing the King. What's the guy's name? Where it's the city of gold
Yeah.
that existed, that the jungle grew up over it, and well, those arrows are like they're not like the arrows you had in North America or Europe. Those arrows are designed to fly through a thick jungle, so they're very heavy. They have very heavy, long heads on the front because they're supposed to penetrate a jungle more than go super far.
Yeah.
So that's why they're designed that way.
Okay.
um, and that's just, that's a very unique thing to that landscape and that time and place, because like the American Native Americans, like their arrows were small, light flint stone, and of course in Europe the arrows, they either had like the long bows that were designed to punch through armor, or they had like the shorter bows that they were made to hunt game at long distances for that kind of weapon. These are pretty short range from what I understand, because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have to go through a forest, so they're very heavy at one end. They're firing in what they call that, a high parabola, like you're arcing them in,
Yeah.
because they're designed to go in. They're designed to go through the jungle.
Huh.
So that's how it was. The 15 minutes of research that made me an expert. That's what I found out. So if I'm totally full of shit, everyone, I'm sorry.
Go hunt with your own bow spears.
Yeah.
He finds a girl he likes in the river, and he goes to her and kind of like taps her on the shoulder and makes himself known, and then he just disappears. So we cut to Tommy, who like runs in the forest. Then we cut to it's night. Bill and Uwe are launching night flares and fireworks, which this is all weird, but
Yeah.
it looks very unsettling. They find a tribe. This is the Fierce tribe. They're lit up by the flares.
Yes, very Apocalypse Now looking
Yeah.
scene with the red flares lighting up the jungle tribe.
And Platoon. Well, in Platoon it's just white flares,
Yeah.
but you do see the parachute flares. So I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
parachute
guess those are bad. Yeah.
They still use those?
Uh-huh.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, we had a special part of boot camp. It's called night boomers, where you have to like cross a bunch of paths and like crawl through tubes and stuff like that while night flares are going off. And so when a flare goes off, you have to stand still, because then if you'll get beat up if you're caught moving when the light's out. And that's when you have to do a special thing where you close one eye
Okay.
so you can always maintain night vision in at least one eye.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. Because they're just shooting like white magnesium flares
Mhm.
up. That okay. Huh.
And then we had something where like it was still part of Night Boomers. It was almost like a beach, and then there's like a brick wall, and you have to like get over it, and they're just blowing up shit all around you. It's very deafening. It's like, I don't even know what they're blowing up. It's like, and then you have
That
to.
was my number one question to you in about like combat training is like, did you guys wear earplugs? And you're like, no. Holy crap! How do you hear what anyone's saying?
Well, that's about well. When we go shooting, you always wear earplugs. That's always like a
Right.
thing in it, but like never else. And I was always wondering like, so when people engage in combat, they're not wearing earplugs, right? It's like, and I never like got an answer of that. I know there's like some like infantry guys. You'll see them. They'll have like the headsets on, which are both like communication and ear protection. So
Yeah.
I assume that's what's going on. But if you're not frontline guys, you probably are not engaging in enough firefights to lose your hearing. But yeah, hearing loss is a big problem in the military. I mean, that's
Yeah. I always thought it must have because I've heard gunfire without hearing protection before, and it's a
mm-hmm.
jarring and
Oh
awful.
yeah,
And
I'm.
especially like in buildings and stuff. It's
Oh,
like,
that's the
oh,
worst. Oh yeah, that's awful.
it's
I
like,
remember like I as I think of the first time I used an indoor shooting range, I was shooting like a 22 like a 22 pistol, like revolver.
mhm.
And like I heard people say before, like when you go to an indoor shooting range, you better double up your hearing protection. And I just had my over the ear ones. I'm like, it's 22, it'll be fine. It was like, oh wow, I could feel the pressure basically lift my earmuffs off my head. It's like, oh yeah, next time I'm doing this, I'm doubling up hearing protections.
Yeah.
um,
Because they have like a shotgun range at the place down the road from me.
Jesus.
And I asked them, I said, hey, can I bring my Tavor in here? And they were like, only if you fire slugs. And you basically got to duct tape your hearing protection to your head. It's like, really? He goes, that'll be cacophonously loud. because they can't do buckshot, but their backstop will stop because a buckshot can hit the.
Yeah, ricochet.
Yeah, but they said they can do slugs, but they're like, yeah, man, just duct tape your your hearing protection to your head because it'll be, and everyone will be mad as hell. But we're not going to say no because we paid you can do it. But yeah,
We built it. They will come.
you're going to make everyone angry because you're going to be down there like, blam, blam, blam. They're going to be like, what are you shooting down there? Oh, it's just 12 gauge slug.
I remember one time we were doing a shooting drill for qualification. It was just like 100-yard one sitting. It was practice, so it's kind of low key, but then there's always a hurry up and wait thing. So we are like expecting to wait for about 20 minutes, and then we are like about 2 minutes into waiting. It's like, all right, hurry up. And so it's like, oh, well, better hurry up. And like, I forget to put my hearing protection in. And like, it was a stick of like 20 people firing like all at once. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. This sucks ass.
And I just casually reached into my front pocket, pulled out my hearing protection, put it in, and kept firing. But I was like, oh my God, that's so fucking loud. And that was outdoors. So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine like people inside Humvees. Just like, what the hell?
Or even say like Demolition Ranch, they'll do stuff where they'll shoot from a moving vehicle. And one time had the 50 cal out, and they had one window open. It blew out all the other windows that were rolled up when he fired once.
Yeah, one shot, and everyone's like running away.
And like the barrel was outside the vehicle, so I think, or maybe it was, I don't know, because those things have those huge air brakes. I'm not sure if it was inside the vehicle that would make more sense, but it's crazy.
I've had one experience with a 50 caliber rifle, and we were firing it into a rock quarry, and just the dust rising from the ground all around you just from fire in single shot.
Yeah.
Not a semi or anything. One shot, reload the gun, one shot. It was like we were firing off artillery. It was so loud. And like I said, all the dust coming off the rocks and stuff is like, this gun is crazy. Did you hit the target? I don't know. I'm afraid.
We hit all the targets.
Yeah, we hit everything.
So yeah, they get to the Fierce Tribe village, and Bill asks them about the feather, and he says that they're the invisible tribe and that their meat tastes sweet. So it's like, okay, these guys aren't cannibals, but that just makes them immediately awful. There's a scuffle, and Bill shoots a guy, and then he's kind of like held up by spears as the leader is like fascinated by the gun.
Yeah.
Even like creepily digs in the bullet wound hole and pulls out a bullet that somehow
he
deformed.
pulls the bullet out of the guy's chest that was the same bullet used in the Kennedy assassination. He threw like two guys in a skull and was perfectly intact because he just pulls this bullet out and it's like almost intact. And it's like that went through that guy's sternum. I thought it was just funny. It was like, oh, okay. But to be fair, he is using a CAR-15.
Okay.
Which is a shorty M16 essentially.
Okay.
And as you know, with those
fully automatic.
Yeah, fully automatic. As you know, with those shorty guns, so much of the powder gets wasted out of the end. It's not building velocity. So maybe there was a chance that bullet would be recognized. But it would take
or just magical realism,
Yeah, it would take a lunatic to dig through somebody's chest. Like, this is cool.
I mean, at least they didn't have him pull out like a completely intact bullet with like the case and everything. They didn't know how bullets work.
Yeah. What a gun is that? It's like a rocket just fired from through the priming. Yeah, he's using what is colloquially known as a LaFrance M16.
Okay.
Which I don't know what the gun laws are in Brazil, but I think a lot of those colonial countries are like America. It's like, yeah, we got laws, but if you want one, you can have one.
They're expensive, so if you got it, flaunt it, I guess.
Yeah, if you got the money.
The leader says he'll let Bill go at dawn, and then at dawn they'll hunt them. And then some lady just starts stabbing Uwe in the back, and like they kind of like gather around him.
Yeah, because Bill Markham's like, what's going to happen to him? And they immediately start sinking knives into him. He's like, oh, okay.
And Bill just runs off.
It's such a hateful character. It's like,
yeah, whatever.
Good trade.
Bill runs off and lays down some covering fire, so he gets away. Is there ever like a? Do we ever see the reporter guy ever again? Is there like a complete doom, or we just left to like, oh, they ate him and then we're done with it?
Yeah, he's probably a skull somewhere with
Okay.
a hole knocked in the side of it so they can drink soup out of it. Or like,
We cut to it's day. Bill falls down a cliffside while being chased, and he comes across Tommy. He lays down some fire at Tommy, and then Tommy's holding a bow. This is like the cover of the movie, or at least the poster on Internet Movie Database, where he's holding the arrow in like a in the fall. Like it looks really cool. So,
yeah, in
um,
the waterfall. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he's got it knocked up and he's ready to go. And yeah, yeah, that is the poster for it.
It's also very important that they're at the waterfall because it silences their words, but you know exactly what they say because this is the only time that they speak English to one each other, and you can't hear them because he says,
Now, and Tommy's there to find the magic rocks that make the invisible people invisible. That's what his
"Ah,
leaving
okay."
was, which is it's like a green rock that you grind up, and it's like, oh, uranium is this? It's like, yeah, it gives us magic powers. It's like, well, yeah, but yeah, it's not uranium, but it's yeah,
Is it supposed to be an emerald? um, Tommy recognizes Bill. He says "Dad," but again, this is covered up, so you don't actually hear it. You just see the words being mouthed. Um, and then Bill says Tommy. Well, I guess he says Tommy the rest of the time, but
yeah,
because yeah, even though like he no longer speaks English, he's still his name is still Tommy. So
yeah.
uh,
The native people pronounce it like Tom May.
yeah, Tommy.
Tommy. It's no, his name is Tommy, and you are Daddy. His mother is Mame. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Tommy kills a couple of guys with some bows, and then Bill takes an arrow to the arm. They're getting away slowly as arrows and spears fly all around them.
And Bill is not being effective at laying down suppressive fire with a fully because he just chooses not to shoot when like there's 5 dudes
Yeah.
right in front of you. Now spray the gun because it will kill them. But
Well, at this point, he is down one arm, but still,
that's true.
he can still lay down some covering fire. It's
I mean, after watching
automatic.
the guy, it's like I don't care how much pain I'm in. But it's kind of a weird scene because it's like arrows are flying, but no one's doing a good job. Not
Yeah.
even the fierce people. They're kind of missing. Tommy's like knocking people down.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone's kind of frazzled at this point.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because Bill just
Well,
fell
I
down
mean, yeah,
running all night.
they got to
and
make
stuff.
it awkward from both sides to
Yeah.
have all these misses happen because it's like, well, even the bad guys have plot armor, so
Yeah, it's like as if the stormtroopers shot straight, Star Wars would be over in like 15 minutes. That many guys that were trained to use weapons and they were shooting at like a few plucky rebels. Well, guess who's going to die pretty quick? No, so they can never shoot straight.
Tommy and Bill kind of ride the river down the river. Bill loses his AR-15. Tommy and Bill hold onto a tree limb like while they're still in the river, and they kind of speak in the native language to each other. We cut to the tribal leader, like this fierce tribe leader. He's like stuffing leaves into the AR-15 and then just screams. It's like, I guess what do you know? What do you know about this? You know,
Yeah, you wouldn't know how it worked. I did not know how an AR-15 worked until I owned one.
yeah,
I did not know. I did not know it had the T handle on it.
yeah.
Never fired one before because I was like, those are really expensive. I'll never own one. And then, stupid me, all of a sudden I own one. But yeah, I never knew. It's like, oh, I thought it was like because I had experience with an AK-47.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it's like, where's the thing? Oh, you just wow, this is science fiction-y, and then you tap it on. Huh. You know, the AK-47 does this much easier. It's like, don't talk about it. It's
Yeah,
called
but it's on top. It's actually easier to operate.
I mean, yeah, you don't have to do the weird like reach around
Yeah.
AK style, but AK-47 always seemed more straightforward to me because it was.
Yeah.
But I don't own one of those. I have an AR-15, and it's great. It's a very accurate gun. I put 500 rounds through it, and it's like I have made my peace with money. So that's it.
I remember there was like a video game where like somebody clearly didn't know how a gun worked, and there's the forward assist button that they thought that's how they made it like you pulled back on it to charge it. It's like that's
Oh
not how that works. It does touch the charging hand. It does touch the bullet carrier group, but it doesn't charge it. So
to Rock River Arms credit, all the bullets I fired through my AR, I've never had to use the forward assist once. It always
yeah,
plat, plat,
yeah. There's
plat.
always consternation about that. I know, like the Ian always talks about it, like the Air Force didn't want this. The Army wanted this for like just remedial purposes, and it's like it's never worth it. But like, I totally got worth out of it. Like when you're pulling an M16 out of a rack that somebody maybe put 100,000 rounds to, like
Yeah.
that, and you have to clean it. Like that shit is dry as hell and sticky. It's like that forward assist is actually quite amazing. So it
Yeah,
does
mine's
work.
just a safe
But
queen that
what?
gets pulled once a
Yeah.
year and cleaned and put back. So yeah, it's
But like when you're with a dry gun that's like used way too much, like it's gonna take like a couple of magazines before that thing is knocked around enough where it won't stick together anymore. So
when the guy told me when they were stationed in Germany and they had the guy, this was the army, so and they had the guy that was like wanted the guns to be just look perfect, whoever they was in charge of them, and I don't know his rank or what unit they were in or anything. But when he said, "Oh yeah, the guys that left told us you choose oven cleaner," it's like what? When I hear those stories, and it's like, oh yeah, how many generations have those guns been cleaned with oven cleaner in Germany? It's like, yeah. Then you tell me that, it's like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. God, he has to like break that gun in practically new. It's dry metal for years.
yeah,
So yeah,
because yeah, you don't like CLP is a wonderful thing, but you don't want to like coat a gun with CLP and then put it in a rack, even though it actually probably preserve it in some way, but you just don't necessarily want to do that. So
oh, like I said, I haven't fired my AR in 2 years, but I bring it out once a year and clean it. And every time I run cleaner through it, it's always dirty after sitting here because all that lubricant that I put on it has started to break down. So
yeah,
yeah, it's important to clean them.
yeah.
Even not even shooting them anymore. What are we talking about here? The Emerald Forest.
They
Yeah,
they lose the AR-15, so we have to give it its funeral. Well, I mean, it will come back, but
yeah. They're trying to put like pieces of wood in it.
yeah.
It's like, how does the boomstick work? They didn't actually call it a boomstick, but I was hoping. But I've always liked that, the boomstick.
Tommy brings Bill back to the Invisible Tribe village. They tend to Bill's wounds. They do some healing ceremony here. It's like they're pulling out the invisible rock and putting it in a fire and putting it on his chest and taking it off. And it's like the invisible.
Poison out of him.
Yeah.
The evil, what does that call it? The evil heat? Be a fever, I'm assuming. Yeah.
The invisible leader talks to Tommy and Bill while in hammocks over a fire. This is interesting scenes. Tommy is given a club of importance.
The club of mating.
And he runs around scaring people with it, and then he knocks out the girl he likes with it and carries her away. Which I'm not sure if he really just knocked her out or if it was like ceremonially knocked her out. I'm not sure.
Well, he wanted to ceremonially knock her out, but she was like, "No, do it right."
Okay.
And so that, but where I mean, even the way he did it, it's like, it's okay. She might be acting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming, like in real life, you wouldn't want to give someone an actual concussion because that's brain damage. But okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is all weird, but
Caveman ceremony.
yeah.
Knock the woman out, bring her back to your cave, then mate with her. Like, okay, that's.
And we call it rape nowadays, but yeah, whatever.
They actually, in the subtitle, they mention that word, but it's later.
Yeah.
But they do use that word several times in the native language.
Huh.
But it's like you wouldn't say that nowadays. Well, actually, in the context, maybe you would. I don't know. This had to do with stuff that happens later.
Some dude is showing the tribe leader how to use the rifle. Oh yeah, this is the brothel. This is the fierce tribe. So then they barter for more magazines, which they basically like, yeah, we want young ladies. And they're like, all right, we can do that.
Because they bring them like animal pelts.
Yeah.
Guys
Jaguar
like
pelts, yeah.
no, even actually like no, yes, those two, because those would be worth a fortune.
Then we cut to Tommy and the girl go to some tree. She wakes up and then they kiss under the tree. You know, presumably have sex. You know, very Avatar before Avatar.
Yeah, this is Avatar before Avatar. This whole is Avatar.
um, yeah, the sequel they do have the kid, the spider. Did you see the sequel yet?
No,
Okay, it's all right.
I wait about 10 years and then I watch it.
I mean, it looks fantastic. There's always interesting stuff in it. It's way too long, and I kind of don't care about most of the characters.
Yeah, it's the least favorite James Cameron stuff is the Avatar stuff
But
for me.
but
And
there's
that's God project. It's like, huh, okay. Just do aliens again.
yeah. But there's a character named Spider who he basically grew up on. Was it Navi? I can't remember the planet.
Hmm.
And so he like is more in tune with like the Navi people. So he kind of looks like how Tommy looks here, but he's he's also raised by scientists, so he totally talks like a scientist as well. He just looks like a native. So
Oh, okay.
it's a very weird character, but interesting. So Bill wakes up and gets out of the hammock, and then there was some lady in there with him, which I don't know if she was the healer lady, so she was doing her thing, or if there's like other stuff
Oh
at
no,
play.
no. The chief explains that to him later.
Oh, okay.
Cause she like, cause he's like confused and she's like, no, I am for you. She says it in the native language.
Okay.
He just kind of like, no,
I'm Mary.
I didn't say that, but he's just kind of like, he's sort of like, that's fine. That's fine. Like he doesn't want to like outright reject her. Like, oh,
Yeah.
does he be ugly? You know, he's smart. No, you don't do things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the chief comes walking up to him and she's like, what? Do you not like her? And he's like, what's she for? What is this about? And the chief like pantomimes having sex, and he's just like, no, no, no. It's like that's fine, but no, that's not my. So it's like it's very earthy, and it's like because it's funny. It's like the chief knows this is like what everyone wants. Like,
Yeah.
we're living in they have a really cool like facility. Like it's all made out of like thatch and weave, but it's like got the big open part where they always shoot
Yeah.
the camera through the top, and it's like that looks like a fun place to live. There's a big fire going in the middle, and everyone's just chilling. Um, because all this like tribal living and getting back to nature stuff, it always sounds cool until you get a tooth infection. Then
Yeah,
not so.
it's all the disease stuff that never works out very well.
Yeah,
So.
it's like I would love to do this, but I'd have to like wear it, like push around one of those IV bottles of penicillin. This is fun, but I need this thing constantly hooked up to me, so I don't die of like a simple infection.
There's some kind of a marriage ceremony with Tommy and the girl. Like there's stuff with like the club where he's like kind of like scaring people away, and then there's like sort of like the pseudo like bachelor party where where like he's surrounded by women and she's surrounded by men, and then they come together again.
Which is, it's like you know exactly what's going on, which is like what's sort of cool about this is like, oh, these are like other women tempting him and other men tempting her,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
like, oh, we are together now, and we don't behave this way, and it's like I do like all the ceremonial stuff in this movie, even though it's very on the nose what's going to happen.
yeah.
It's still kind of like they managed to like do it together or come up with a performance, and it's sort of cool in a way.
And then Tommy returns the club to the village leader. Then he gets drugs in his face, or
Yeah,
particularly in his nose. He gets like those
yeah, they
green
like
stuff.
stuff up his nose.
Oh,
I think I looked it up while we were talking. It's called ayahuasca.
okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
I
I
was
get
I was associate that with like Native Americans. I guess I would guess Native South Americans, but I guess maybe so.
yeah. This is
Or
well,
is
I
that
was looking.
or is that peyote? Or are they all the same thing? I don't know.
No, peyote's. Actually, I don't know what ayahuasca is, but I looked up South American like Vision Quest drugs,
Okay.
and immediately ayahuasca comes. So peyote's probably the North American equivalent of
Okay.
that.
All right. And then we get some Jaguar Sam Raimi cam here.
Yes.
And then a Jaguar attacks a bulldozer, like jumps to the front window and attacks the guy. So, and then that's just basically just a dream. And Bill wakes up next to a construction site. The invisible tribe like leave him there, like they head off.
But they're still like 5 feet away in the
Yeah,
tree.
yeah, you can totally see them, but everyone's like, we don't know they're there.
The magic, the magic rocks. It makes
So. Bill returns home to Jean. She senses he knows something, and then they just don't state that out out loud. So
Well, he also comes back and she's like, something happened to you. And he looks like he weighs 70 pounds.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, something clearly happened to this guy. Like, wow, holy shit.
I guess I have no idea how long he's been gone, but
Yeah, well, we're on John Borman time here.
yeah.
I mean, the ultimate example of John Borman time is Zardoz. Like,
Yeah.
you have no idea how much time is passing.
Eons.
Yeah. We've been to space. There's nothing there. It's very lonely. Are you ready to die now? It's like, huh? Okay.
The invisible tribe returns to their village and it's on fire. Tommy finds a woman dead and is saddened by it. I don't know if that he knows her or not, but
Yeah, that's the chief's wife.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
Because all the young women were taken and the
Yeah.
older women left.
Yeah, because at
murdered.
first it's like, oh, did his like girlfriend get or his wife die? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not her. And then like, oh yeah, they took all the young women. But at night they have a funeral pyre for the dead. So that being the end of Act 2. Act 3, it's in the morning. They pound the ashes and put them in a vessel, and they put some.
Yeah,
of the,
that's wild. Like they take skulls and bones and stuff and they pound them into ash,
yeah,
dust, and then they put the dust in this like cool looking container.
and then they take some of the ashes and put them in a bowl, and they drink. It's mixed in with water or whatever, and they drink of the ashes,
Yeah.
and it's all passed around. We cut to the
Because
other.
that's doing a war party. It's like
Yeah.
because it's about we take the spirit of our dead for vengeance, or it seems like something the invisible people aren't comfortable with, but they have to do. It's
Yeah.
like this because we have to rescue our women, and we're going to kill a lot of people, which they seem reticent to do,
Yeah.
unlike the fierce people that are just happy to do it. So.
The fierce tribe have captured a bunch of young women, which here it's Tommy's wife amongst them. The fierce tribe bring the invisible tribe women to the brothel, and then we cut to it's night, and the invisible tribe sneaks up on the brothel. One of the dudes is like climbing onto the power lines to try to sneak in, and then he gets fried to death and falls.
Yeah.
Tommy climbs up there as well, but then when he sees that happen, he gets down, and then the invisible tribe retreat. And the brothel owners like hire the fierce tribe as muscle, and then the fierce tribe goes after the invisible tribe, but the fierce tribe has rifles. They basically just pretty easily take out most of the invisible tribe here, but there's somehow more of them left.
Yeah. And a lot of people die.
Tommy shoots the fierce leader with an arrow, but he lives. The invisible tribe leader is injured, so they brought him back. I wrote they brought him back to the village, but they kind of just have him in the river, so I'm not sure if they're back at the village yet, or if it's just near the village. He gives his departing words, and then he dies, presumably like handing off the tribe to Tommy, presumably. That's what's going on here, so.
Yeah, the thing with that is like that because the invisible people used to be somewhere else, and the fierce people took that from them. And then they find out, like, because as they come up to the brothel, they find out, oh, this used to be where the fierce people's land was. So this is why they drove us off. So, yeah, you're never sure where anyone is because it's implied that the land that the fierce people were on was actually the former land of the invisible people. So, yeah. Not that that's important, but it is kind of interesting to, like, oh, this is what's going on.
And then the dam's gonna force them all out or whatever. I actually don't know what the dam is going to do. But
I'm not sure because they're on the other side of it. So, well, they're just gonna basically all the civilization that will come on the other side of the dam will just drive them out.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they're just gonna clear cut the forest and like Coca-Cola is gonna grow. Whatever. It's Coca-Cola. A lot of crimes in Central and South America involve Coke. It's like, huh? Okay.
Tommy and his friend go and make a deal with a guy from town, which I think he used to be a part of the tribe or something. Because
no, the people in the town are called the Bat People because they hunted at night. It was a tribe that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, okay. Because at the end, like one of those guys is like with them, but he still has his shotgun, but he's like in the tribal like wear.
Yes.
But he keeps his shotgun. So.
Yeah, you always keep the shotgun.
New shirt in the store. No, always keep the shotgun.
Always keep the shotgun, no matter how native you go. Keep the. It's always a good choice.
I'm gonna make that a short story title. I'll figure it out later. We just need the title. So
Yeah, just that's a starting point. That's the seed.
yeah. Well, I have one called Gambulance, and I don't know what that is. I just thought it was a fun word.
That is a fun word.
I don't know what gambling and ambulance have to do with each other, but we'll find
Is
out.
it going to show up before you're dead? That's the gamble. It's 50% cheaper if you call the Gambulance versus the ambulance. Like live or die, fate is in your hands.
That's more funny than what I was thinking of. I was thinking of some like society where like there's a god of gambling, and if you get too caught up in gambling, you turn into to gold, and so you need the Gambulance to come get you.
Oh, okay. Save me from my fate of greed.
But no, your roulette the roulette of healthcare actually seems more apropos.
Yeah, that's closer to what's going on. The more banal dystopia is actually the one we're in. Because every year that goes by,
I mean, your healthcare being utilized for your actual health is a gamble anyway. So might as well just put it on the lines like, here's $50. Do I get healthcare or not?
oh, I'll tell you where my wife. Well, no, I can't tell you on the show. I'll tell you after the show. A healthcare story. I can't repeat that now. I don't want to get sued and or somebody fired. So, yeah. But anyway.
Tommy climbs the apartment building to his parents' apartment, which this is a huge apartment complex, so this is a to do. So.
Yeah, it climbs 20 stories with a rope he made out of like putting what are those trees called? Like palm tree?
Yeah.
But like say he makes palm fronds into a rope and it makes like a climbing rig like a guy who would like a county lineman would use to get up a pole.
He's got a thatch and a G-string and he's gonna go meet his parents.
Yeah, he's gonna climb like 300 feet into the air. It's like, wow, okay.
And then like he meets his parent. Gene hugs Tommy. And that's kind of like the last time they spend together. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's one of the problems with this movie is he's abrupt. It's like the son I've been looking for 10 years. Sorry, Mom, got to go to a whorehouse and shoot the hell out of Dad, come on, Daddy. Time, boomstick.
Then we cut to like everyone's in a Jeep, like the Invisible Tribe people, the Bat people you're talking about, and then Bill.
Yeah.
And they're all gonna go to the brothel. Bill goes into the brothel and they slap a number on him because it's like, well, clearly this guy's a customer. And then one of the native girls recognizes Bill. This is like his hammock wife.
Yeah. What now? Now it's like, well, no, but
and so yeah, she goes up to Bill, and then we cut to Tommy and crew like break in. Like now they have bolt cutters so they can get in. They kill one of the guards, which is kind of this is like we see like the I don't know the power or the weirdness of these spear arrows because he shoots the guy but he's still alive, and so Tommy takes the arrow out and then makes sure to stab him again until he dies. So it's like you don't really
killing people with sharp weapons is actually up close and nasty.
Yeah, but then well, I mean, usually like an arrow, you wouldn't be able to like like a standard arrow you have now. You wouldn't be taking it out to stab somebody again. But this arrow is built for doing that. So.
Yeah, it's full use.
Tommy sees his girl basically getting molested by one of the sleazeballs, and then Tommy goes up and stabs that guy to death. But they make him a pretty good sleazeball, so it's like, they do a good job of making you want to see people die in this movie.
Yeah, this movie knows how it's like it's okay to eat that guy. Yeah.
Then Tommy puts out a call, which like all the tribe women start escaping, and they're just like start turning on everybody, and lots of slashing of necks and tearing of genitals are implied. so
it's good because obviously like this is like because now like sex trafficking is on everyone's lips. Like everyone knows about this. This is going on everywhere. this movie was made like 40 years ago. This is what sex trafficking looks like.
Yeah.
And yeah, and all the people involved, like these girls clearly don't want to have sex
Yeah.
with the, because they find like the fattest, grossest, like I've been sitting in a bulldozer all day heat and I'm here for head. Like it really makes you like, people need to be dunked in acid or something.
Yeah.
These are the most hateful people I've ever seen.
Bill gets a shotgun and starts freeing people. This is like, I don't know what the shot. It's kind of got that Spaz 12 like folding stock on it, but it's not a Spaz 12 at
This is
all.
a Remington 870 police folder.
Oh, okay, all right.
It is a gun from the 70s and 80s when pistol grip shotguns in America were illegal.
Okay, huh.
So it's like a police only gun. Now you can buy them anywhere. You just have to, like in Michigan, you just, if you put a pistol grip on a shotgun, you have to register it as a handgun.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know what the laws are everywhere else, but at one time it was illegal to have a wrist breaker, or as some people call them, a pistol grip shotgun. I just call them wrist breakers because
Yeah,
they
I know. I've never
shoot.
shot one. I've always heard you say like they're terrible. So
Yeah, it's the most. You're better off. One of the, except for the, oh, what's the one, the Desert Eagle Action Express, the most brutal shooting experience I've ever had. Because I'm not a strong man, I'm not a tough man. I fired a lot of guns though, and then most of the time it's like, yeah, that's not bad. Like your 10 millimeter Glock and all that. It's like, yeah, that's cool. There's two guns, the 50 caliber Action Express Desert Eagle and a pistol grip shotgun. It's like I shot it once and I'm like, this sucks. That is a useless weapon. So,
no.
but that's the reason it has the brace on it.
Okay.
So it would take some of that because that's the difference between like, because that's why like the shotguns we have that look like sawn off shotguns, but they got
Bird's
the
head grip.
the bird head. It's like, yeah, it doesn't. The
Okay.
force fulcrum there is all different.
Yeah.
Because like the pistol grip shotgun is like this is the fulcrum, where the bird's head is more like this, and you can feel it too.
Because yeah, I couldn't remember like because yeah, mine has the bird's eye grip. I couldn't remember if yours did too, but I guess like
Yeah, mine does too.
And I,
Mine's a
and I
little,
got and I got the recoil strap on mine, so it's a bit also a different feeling thing.
yeah,
and the light that also takes some of the recoil. So
yeah. Mine's a little more. Mine's just an 870 with a leather strap and a bird's head on it. There's nothing nice about mine. It's just
well, I put a scope on mine, which is kind of ridiculous for that thing, but it works. So
hey, I put a scope on my Tavor, and as we saw on the firing range, it's like, well, this is totally unnecessary. Hey, I'm aiming at the target. Oh, it just got blown into confetti. Well,
I mean, we're only shooting like 5 yards away because we didn't know how to like utilize it, but yeah.
no. Yeah, we're idiots on the gun range, but it's a lot of fun, and we get fans like, "What the hell's that? Everyone come!" Like the whole show.
um the Fierce Tribe attacks them as they're leaving, but now like they have everyone has an assortment of bows and guns, and so it's more of a level playing field. But the Fierce Tribe like gets mowed down here. Bill just like kills the tribe leader with a shotgun pretty easily, and that's just kind of into that. Then we cut to the women strip themselves of their brothel clothes, and then like later on you see they've like gathered clothes of the forest to put on themselves. So
Yeah.
we cut to morning. Tom.
With this movie, like I mentioned earlier, most of these women are topless the whole time.
Yeah.
After about 10 seconds, you don't even notice it. It's like, well, this is normal for these guys. Because also there's not like big double D's knocking around. Actual native people, not these aren't the Brazilian beach girls.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh my God, life-giving boobies. It's like, no, normal people. So
I got some morning. Tommy and Bill have a talk, which I presume is about the future of like what will happen with the dam and stuff. Again, I didn't get subtitles here, so I'm just guessing. So
okay, here's what Tommy tells Dad. It's like when the frogs sing, the rain comes and it'll knock the dam down, and his dad's kind of like, yeah, all right, cool. Has his own plans, but he loves his son, so they have that weird like fierce embrace.
Yeah.
He just and his son is like, the tribe will sing about what you did for us today, and he's like, all right, cool. He just can't deal with his emotions because he knows it's like his son's not coming back.
Yeah.
He's essentially the chief of the tribe now. It's like so, but for kind of the range of acting that like Powers Booth has, it's like it's the best way to use Powers Booth. It's like I'm driving away from my emotions, damn it. If he tried to like cry or something, it would be a terrible scene. So I will give John Borman credit for like using Powers Booth properly. Of like, yeah, he's gonna do the fierce embrace, tell someone they're full of shit, and then drive away because that's who he is as an actor. That's what you get out of it.
Yeah, he just gets in his Jeep and heads back to civilization. It's like, I'm gonna abandon my son again.
Yep.
Cut to tribe drug time. Here I wrote it rains.
Also, by the way, at this time too, remember, even though it's not, this is an '80s movie where we have the Miami Vice shootout at the end of every movie. These guys just all got done killing like I don't know 20, 30 people,
Yeah.
and so they're kind of like no one's really talking about the repercussions of that. Emotions would be sort of weird at that time too. And that might reflect in some of the
construction workers come after them after they've taken away their brothels.
Yeah, I mean that they did because a lot of the people. I mean, like the whore. What do they call those? The whoremongers, the pimps that ran the brothel. Like they all deserve the guys.
Yeah.
They all deserve to die. But the guys, you know, they were just like, yeah, we go to brothels and have sex with women, and I drive a bulldozer during the day, and I go home and see my family at night. Well, they killed a bunch of those people. And there's like no talk about, well, the cop's going to show up and be investigated, or are we going to go to Brazilian prison for the rest of our lives? What are the ramifications of Brazilian prison?
Yeah.
None of that's really dealt with, but it's also like it's got to be on their minds at some point.
And I see they cut to like we see a bunch of frogs at the dam, which I interpret that as it's raining frogs, and so I thought that was like kind of like a biblical plague kind of thing going on here, rather than what you said, where you said literally the frogs will sing and the dam will be brought down. I was like, okay.
Well, their thing is they will do a ceremony and the frogs will sing.
Yeah.
And the rain will knock the dam down, and Bill's like, yeah, okay, but I'm also gonna like. You know, I'm going to help that along by putting a bunch of dynamite, which a dam that size, you need a lot of dynamite. But he's the engineer who built it, so maybe
he knows all the weak points. Bill warns
frogs are singing and the water is rising.
Yeah, there's like a wave in the river, which I don't know if that can happen, but maybe. I don't know. Another dam down. A third dam broke. So. Bill warns to evacuate the men at the dam, like they're in danger. He's like, I think maybe I got the calculations wrong. So the dam's being evacuated. There's a wave running down the river. Bill breaks into the explosive hut. He sets up the explosives and blows up the dam. And he stands by and watches as the destruction with a divided reaction. It's like, well, I just wasted 10 years of my life to do this. So, but I'm giving my son a future. So,
yeah,
I guess.
Well, actually, we don't know. We don't know if the tribe brought the dam down or Bill did.
Okay.
Because remember, the boom from the giant crane falls on the wires and shorts him out before he can press the button.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So we don't know. Like maybe the boom crane falling shorted him out and it caused the detonation anyway, or maybe the water. We don't know.
Or the lightning striking the boom as it's.
Yeah, I mean, that's the magical realism in this movie because Tommy, like, he used the hawk to find his dad.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't know. Maybe there is something to this nonsense, or maybe it's just like no. When the boom fell, it shorted the wires and the But it's like it gives you a chance. It's like no, maybe the tribe did it themselves.
Yeah.
And anyway, back on Earth, like all these people are now dead. It's like they built 10 new dams, and Coca-Cola is whatever Coca-Cola is doing. But it's a nice
hiring thugs to kill everyone.
Yeah.
The invisible tribe.
That's a weird, like hard ass story to tell people. What did you do? It's like I was an assassin for Coca-Cola. Hold on, you were a Navy SEAL? No.
So did you like kill other corporate heads and like work against us? Like no, we bullied native people and made sure that
we killed poor people, just like all the other great people the great white nation that's spread out from Europe to the rest of the world. It's like, you stood up against savages and saved our civilization. No, we killed poor people so rich man could have more money. It's like, wow, that's dark.
Are we the baddies? Yes.
Yeah,
Now swim in your money and shut up.
yeah. Sleep in your bed in your comfortable house that doesn't have bullet ants in it. You've earned this quiet time. Yeah.
We cut to the invisible tribe are hanging out in the river. Tommy and his girl are talking about like all the new couples, and so this is kind of like being wishful thinking that like the tribe's going to grow some more.
Yeah, and she even tells Tommy it's like you should marry some of the other women, maybe. Also, like you should. It's like we should form a new religion called Mormon. And he's like, no, you're the only one for me. So he's implied that Christian values will. No, he doesn't.
Then we have titles. This is the rainforest of the Amazon are disappearing at the rate of 5,000 acres per day. Again, don't know. It still seems to be like it's in danger, but still exists nowadays. So, like, I don't know. 4 million Indians once lived there. 120,000 remain. So it must be zero now. I don't know.
No, they're still uncontacted tribes.
Okay.
Because yeah, I think a lot of this kind of, because I know in the 80s it was just pure like wanton destruction.
Yeah.
I think now that people have realized it's like, yeah, a lot of the world's oxygen comes from this, and we might want to replant and redo things. So I don't know how bad it is now.
Yeah, I think I've as far as I know, there was an effort to not just tear and keep tearing, but to regrow the stuff.
Yeah,
rather than just clear it for no good reason. So,
because I mean, I remember I was around in the 80s, and I remember like the biggest things we had to deal with were imminent nuclear war with the Soviet Union, this kind of stuff, and hairspray was putting holes in the ozone.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you just change to a pump, it's fine. And it's like, yeah, that actually seemed to work. Whereas like 40 years later, it's like, oh, we must completely undermine our economy, not use like petroleum, which is the cheapest, most effective form of energy production, or we're all going to burn alive in 10 years. So it's like, wow, the game has changed a lot, but the rules I think are still the same. So,
yeah.
But yeah, at this time, this was, the Amazon rainforest was like the world's lungs. Like that was
well, also like at the time they basically found a new plant and species like basically every day. So it's like if you're killing this like atmosphere and stuff, it's like, what are we losing? We have no idea. Like, and what are we gaining? It's like not much. It's like, oh wow, capitalism at its best.
Like I said, it's Coca-Cola doing stuff for Coca-Cola. It's like we already have Coca-Cola. We can make that anywhere, but it's. I don't know why I keep using Coca-Cola, but I remember hearing something about like oranges are an ingredient in Coke, and they were cutting down the forests to like put orange groves in so they could make more Coke, so they could give us all diabetes and make us cheap. Their plan worked. But yeah, that's
make us slower targets for the ultimate
for the AI Terminator. Or whatever, yeah, who knows.
So in the last line, a few tribes have never had contact with the outside world. They still know what we have forgotten.
Yeah,
which is a nice sentiment, but that I never believe. It's like,
again, it comes back to that argument about this looks cool until I get a tooth infection, and then it's like, this ain't so cool because now I'm gonna die screaming.
The greatest thing about camping is realizing you hate camping just before leaving and getting the hell out of there and back to civilization. It's like, yeah, it's nice to get out in some fresh air and stuff and light a fire and like kind of chill at night, but then like you sleep like you're going to be attacked at every half-hour interval, and then bugs get in the tent, and then there's something swishing around at night. It's like, yeah, I kind of want like a solid house around me and a soft bed. That'd be way nicer than this shit.
Yeah, I used to. I mean, I still simulate camping but I used to think I love camping, but no, what I love to do was go out and drink as an underage person in the woods because it was like no one knew where we were because we were in the woods getting drunk. As an adult, like I have a whole backyard setup. I can burn wood. I can sit out there and drink a case of beer. And then when that's over, I come inside and sleep in my bed. So it's like it's just my world is constricted. It's like, yeah, because I'm an adult, I can drink whenever I want to. So now I'm just doing it in my backyard and then coming inside. I'm skipping the whole tent and sleeping bag thing, which would probably at this point I'd have to go to the hospital if I slept on the ground. So, um, yeah, that's it's fun.
Oh, they make some neat camping mattresses nowadays. So
Yeah, I mean, I could probably camp
I mean, they had a
again.
blow up mattress in Deliverance. There's got to be something 100 times better than that garbage. So
I kind of made a deal with myself. If I ever got down to like 200 pounds again, it's like I'm heading into the woods
yeah.
just to see if I can still do it before I die. But not there yet. So we're still trying.
Um,
But yeah, the thing about the Amazon that's interesting is oh the like interest in the Amazon kind of had a big resurgence after World War II because we had so many operations going on all over the world. It was kind of rediscovered. It's like there's this cool place in South America where we were hunting Nazi submarines and shit. It's like it's all woods. And it's like, oh yeah, people have been trying to find like the lost city of gold down there and all that shit for so like in the 50s there were a lot of people that tried to go to places like that and find stuff and they went into the woods and guess what? They disappear. Um so there's always been kind of a fascination of that as being like this kind of last frontier in South America and it still to this day is. They still find uncontacted tribes mainly because of drones and deforestation and flying over and but I don't know how uncontacted they are because most of them are almost instantly hostile to it's like yeah you people seem like you suck kind of like what we see in this movie. It's like
yeah.
just a bunch of hard-faced guys just bulldozing the forest. So but it was it was like the Amazon rainforest was a huge fascination for like British and other explorers from like the 1870s until like the First World War, and then it sort of dropped off. And then the Second World War happened, and then people start. I was like, oh yeah, remember that place where all those British explorers disappeared? Let's go back there and see what we can find.
We have better technology to stay in contact now.
Yeah, yeah,
It was the original zone of exclusion.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I kind of feel like Google Maps has have to make all that intrigue and possibilities of what there could be like that had to make that all mute, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess in a jungle you can't necessarily see under all that foliage, so there could be hidden gems in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, they found stuff more elaborate than the like the pyramids of Giza,
Yeah,
just buried in the rainforest.
yeah,
Giant temples that were just completely over because smallpox showed up and basically all those people vaporized.
yeah.
The only people that survived were the people that did not have contact with Europeans who had carried smallpox, and violence too. Smallpox and violence was our gift of Europe to South America and North America and everywhere else.
We brought our progress and anger, and they got all the anger.
Yeah, we did bring some changes, but there was some bad stuff that came with it.
Well, we're sending a probe into space containing this they supercut of scenes from the imperfect collection of the movies that are the Verhoeven Effect. Nathan, what one scene from this movie are we shoving into space?
Well, we're gonna have to go with the obvious like poster scene
Okay.
where Tommy meets his dad again, and he has the bow knocked and ready to fire, and his dad's there. They're fighting off the fierce people. They join up because it actually encapsulates everything about this movie. It's like you can't hear what they're saying because it's a waterfall, but you don't know what they're saying, especially if you watch it like Conlon, just complete, subtitle. It's like this, I'm watching a foreign movie.
Yeah.
It's like a film with American actors or American and British actors. But yeah, so yeah, that explains the movie, what it is, and where it's going.
You can find us with Letterboxd, username VHE. 1 out of 5 stars. What are we giving this movie?
I'm gonna give this movie 4 stars
Okay, all right.
for being kind of an imperfect masterpiece in a lot of ways. It was a movie with a message, but it was a message that was very common at that time.
Yeah.
Everyone was doing these kind of message movies in one way or another. It does stand out for being violently bleak for its time. There's nothing really upbeat at the end. I mean, it's kind of upbeat, but
Yeah, they're like, hey, look, all these couples or young couples coming together. But then it's like, yeah, but how does this all end? I don't think it's going to be like, and then the tradition continues.
well, and the thing is, it's like, yeah, we've defeated this now, but the White Devils are going to show up and rebuild the dam. This is They're not going to just throw up their hands and sail back to Portugal. It's like, no, they're gonna come back and do it. So it's what do you call that? A Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah.
It's like we won, but not for the long term. It's like a God victory. It's like we won for our God and our people, but in the long term, we're gonna disappear. It's just not gonna last because no one's gonna want to sleep in a hut in the woods and live till they're 35. Like that's not the going trend.
But you can find us at verhoeveneffect.com. There we have listener support. You can support a monthly stipend on 99 cents, 49 or 99. Cancel anytime. You can rate our podcast on whatever platform of your choice to listen to. But remember, the algorithm only listens to the highest rating. So give us the highest rating and confuse the algorithm so we all benefit from it.
Yes, because if you haven't learned anything the last 30 days, it's like very evil, short-sighted men control the algorithm. Definitely don't want to give them any more authority in your life than they already think they have. Or not.
Remember, you control the temporary bonds we allow them to put on us.
Yeah. You control the shackles. Don't let the shackles control you.
Remember, it doesn't just hold your arms together. It's also a good choking mechanism.
Remember, cheaper eggs is not worth a genocide.
You can find us at Twitter.
I like baked goods as much as anyone else. You don't want to go through 70 years of German guilt. You don't want it. We're not built for it here in America.
You can find us at Blue Sky Social at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Facebook at Verhoeven Effect. And you can find us on YouTube at American Greed Factory when you watch both this and that show live and unedited. And apparently me muted for the first half hour of this episode. So for the Verhoeven Effect podcast, I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
Goodbye, America.